Hello, welcome to the Courageous Self-Care podcast. I'm your host, Christina Marlette. On this show, we talk about self-care that goes beyond bubble baths, chocolate, and wine. And I've had people say, yeah, but I want the chocolates and bubble baths and wine. And I say, absolutely. We definitely need to pay attention to our physical bodies. And if that's the only thing we're doing and we're leaving out our mental bodies and our energetic bodies, then we're never going to feel like we're getting ahead or like we're feeling completely nourished. And so that's where the courage comes in. That's courageous self-care. It's finding a beautiful blend and harmony between what I call external self-care, which is stuff you do for your physical body, and internal self-care, which is stuff you do for the rest of you, your energetic body and your spirit and your soul and all that good stuff. So guess what? Last year I had a huge event called the Courageous Self-Care Festival, because one of the tenets of courageous self-care is community and another one is connection. And I realized, I really want to see some people in person, not just communicate through email and Facebook. And so I put together the first festival and it was amazing. It was a truly magical day. And during that event, I felt like, I must do another one. So I made the commitment at the closing of the event. It just flew out of my mouth that I was going to do another one. And that time has arrived. We're getting ready for the next Courageous Self-Care Festival. And with that, there are speakers and there are vendors in the wellness marketplace. And some of them I am featuring on the podcast. And so today I have with me Denise Gagne Williamson. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Denise, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you love to do.
There's many things I love to do, but who I will be at the festival is presenting the side of me that is a certified Cranio-Sacral Therapist. That is a healing modality that I got into about 6 years ago for my own healing that I just absolutely love. And I left my career as a teacher in order to become certified in that. And I'm delighted to share that with people.
Oh, that is so amazing. I used to be a teacher too.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Teachers abandoning students all over the place for healing.
Yeah.
No, not abandoning. We also need to prioritize our own well-being, and teachers are definitely in need of self-care.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. How did you find cranial-sacral therapy, Denise?
I broke my ankle at school doing outdoor supervision and slipping on the ice.
Oh, okay.
So I broke my ankle. I had the x-ray and all that stuff, and I saw the doctor and wore the cast. But even, I think, 4 or 5 months after I was supposedly healed, I was still limping. And it really bothered me. I was teaching grade 1 at the time, and you have to keep up with your students.
Yes, especially in grade 1. Oh my gosh.
Yes. So one of my coworkers said, "Oh, Denise, just go see Diane. She'll fix it." And I said, "Well, what does Diane do?" And she said, "I don't know. I can't remember what it's called. Just go see her." And so it was my very first experience with what I found out later was cranial-sacral therapy. And to me, it felt like she really wasn't doing very much.
Mm-hmm.
I expected something similar to what I was getting from the physiotherapist, which was always painful.
Yeah.
Really trying to stretch and strengthen that injured area. And it was so gentle. I thought, my goodness, she's not doing anything. So when the session was over, I got up and just said, "Thank you." Really, I didn't feel different in my ankle. And she barely touched my ankle. So I was really confused by it. But when I woke up the next morning, my range of motion was 100% restored. And I felt great.
Oh my gosh.
And I was so intrigued by that. It just made no sense to me. And so, that was in 2013. And I started taking classes. And 2 years later, I left teaching. And I have since become certified through the Upledger Institute in Cranial-Sacral Therapy. And it's all I want to do with my life now.
That sounds so rewarding.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's the perfect blend about what I was talking about before. Like it's your physical body, but it's also working on the energetics and stuff on the inside as well. Is that true?
It is. There is an aspect to that, but cranial-sacral therapy is grounded in the body.
Mm-hmm.
So lots of people who don't have really major issues still like to get cranial-sacral therapy because they feel so good afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
But you really are, centered on having the body function better with less pain, with more mobility. It works on the central nervous system. So it's not like massage.
Right.
Not rubbing and twisting and kneading muscles. It's very gentle and very subtle manipulations around the spine from bottom to top and the bones of the skull. But a big feature of cranial-sacral therapy is that it activates the parasympathetic nervous system.
Okay. So it gets you out of fight or flight?
It gets you out of fight and flight and into rest, digest, and recuperate. So some of those other things you mentioned, Christina, like wine and bubble baths and chocolate, hey, don't get me wrong, I'm all for that as well. But sometimes when we're having that bubble bath or when we're having a glass of wine, what we really want to do is relax, get out of our sympathetic nervous system. We know that we're stressed. We know that we're in fight or flight, and we just want to, pull out of that and chill. And maybe sometimes that works, but probably not as well and not as deeply as with cranial-sacral therapy.
Oh, I totally agree. Yeah. Sometimes what you're saying is so true. We want the relaxation, and yet we're so, especially when I was a teacher, I know this for sure, my adrenaline was always going, and it was so hard for me to relax, and I had no strategies at that time. And then we end up with Band-Aid solutions, and they don't do what we're hoping that they'll do.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
So cranial-sacral therapy is not a Band-Aid, and it can, seem a little strange to people because like with my broken ankle, she never even touched my ankle. Yeah. So we're not treating symptoms. We're getting right to the root of things, right to the core of what a person really needs. And our bodies are able to heal themselves. Our bodies know what to do, but sometimes they're overwhelmed.
Right.
And so cranial-sacral therapy is deeply respectful of the person's own ability to heal themselves. And it provides that deep relaxation and rebooting, actually, of the nervous system so that you can do that.
I am so excited to have you at the festival, and I really appreciate you sharing what cranial-sacral is all about, both on this podcast and then in person. I think so many people are going to have their ears and minds opened that we don't have to, like, healing doesn't have to be hard work. And like you're saying, when I've had cranial-sacral, I've experienced the same thing. Like, nothing is happening here. I'm just lying on the table and there's a little bit of touch here and there. And how could this be working? But it teaches us that we don't have to work hard for wellness.
That's right. You don't have to strive all the time.
Yeah.
And I go to the gym as well, and I work out because that's also part of healthy self-care, right? And I go for walks and I try to keep my physical body healthy, but it doesn't always have to be this striving and this, it doesn't have to be so much work all the time.
Love it. Yeah, I'm super excited to have you there. So you said a little bit about self-care, but what does self-care mean to you?
What I've learned for me at this point in my life is that self-care has to be a daily activity.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's easy to say, oh, but I'm going to do this big thing on this day, and so I'm good. But we acquire stresses and, the grit of life every single day. And just like you have to brush your teeth every single day if you want to have strong teeth, you have to take care of yourself somehow every single day.
I totally agree.
And it
Absolutely.
doesn't have to be the same thing every day, right? That's not what I'm saying either. But somewhere in your consciousness, you have to have the intention and the goal of doing something kind and loving for yourself. Whether that's your physical body, your mental body, your emotional body, somehow you have to say, yep, I count. I matter every day.
Yeah, if you're saving it all up for the holiday or the weekend, it just doesn't have the same impact, does it?
And Christina, if you were a teacher and you were saving up all your relaxation for the holidays, that the first 2 or 3 days of every single holidays, you're flat on your back sick
Yeah.
because, you just went too long, right?
Oh yeah, I actually had digestive issues the entire time I taught. And when I stopped teaching, they went away. So it was purely stress related. And I didn't know about self-care at that time at all.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great point that you made. Thank you. And then since I at Courageous Self-Care think that courage is a huge part of self-care, and I want to address the courage part, I would love to hear you share something that not a lot of people know about you.
Well, I don't know if not a lot of people know about me, but when I left teaching, I was well into my 50s, and I went back to school. And so I am certified in cranial-sacral therapy, but that is not generally recognized by the insurance companies for reimbursement for people. Mm-hmm. So I went back to school to become a registered massage therapist so that I could provide that to my clients. And most of the people I'm in school with are 19. So wow. I think it takes courage to, look at my life and say, I have other goals right now, and then actually start working towards them.
That is super courageous. I love that. It gave me goosebumps everywhere. And I think it's so important that we listen to our intuitive nudges and the guidance that we're getting. For you, maybe it was a broken ankle, and noticing and understanding that we don't have to live the same day over and over and over if we're not happy with it.
That's right. Change is possible, and it just takes a decision.
Right.
Louise Hay used to say that all the time. She said, the rest of your life starts today with one choice. What are you going to choose? So
yes. I love it. Thank you for sharing that. So obviously not everyone who listens to the podcast lives in Calgary, Alberta. So if people are curious about how they can get in touch with you, maybe learn more about Cranio-Sacral Therapy or the other services that you offer, how can they get in touch with you?
Well, some of the other things I do is I am a shaman, a shamanic healer, and I use a technique for distance healing also called Psyche. So I do have a website that lists those things, and the name of it is Tree Song Shaman. Shaman is spelled S-H-A-M-A-N. And that's because part of my shamanic medicine is that I hear trees sing and I communicate with trees.
Wow.
So, so that's an easy way to get a hold of me is through the email on that website. Or my other email is denisegw@telus.net. And if somebody is contacting me from far away, I would be delighted to send you a copy of Dr. John Upledger's book, Your Inner Physician and You, which describes his journey to creating the cranial-sacral therapy healing modality.
Wow, that is so generous. So make sure that whether you live in Calgary or not, that you contact Denise. Her info will be in the show notes, so it'll just be an easy click. And you can get a copy of this book and learn more about cranial-sacral therapy. I love it. That's so generous, Denise. Thank you.
But if somebody is contacting me from Alberta or intends to be at the SelfCare festival, I would be happy to give you a gift certificate for a free cranial-sacral session. They generally last 1 hour. You could have it before or after the festival, or during if you prefer, if you don't mind. The nice thing about cranial-sacral therapy is you keep your clothes on at all times. So it's definitely not like massage.
Yeah, and you can definitely do it at the festival and not be embarrassed.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah.
Oh, that is so beautiful. Thank you for those offerings, Denise. So please So one of the courageous self-care skill sets is to take embodied action, which means use your body, like your finger or your hand, to click on the website and access these gifts. And if you are coming, or if you're in Calgary or Alberta, or you want to come from afar to join us at the festival, we would love to have you there. So the details are, it's on Saturday, November 16th. The program is 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., registration at 8:30. And there are gifts at every vendor table in the marketplace for the first 25 visitors. And they are going to be really nice gifts. So I encourage you to come early if you're coming. And as a gift for listening to this podcast, I would love to give you a free ticket. You can get that at SelfCare Ticket. Yeah, that's the right one. SelfCareTicket.com. You go there and click on claim your ticket, and you'll be registered for the festival. So that is my way of saying thank you for listening. I encourage you to contact Denise because, wow, you hear tree music? That opened up a whole other interview. We'll have to talk about that another time. I love it. My son is very connected with trees as well. In fact, his name is Oakley because my daughter wanted to name him Tree. And we've said, well, no, but we can work with the tree theme.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I totally want to hear about that another time, Denise. Thank you so much for being a part of the festival. Thank you for doing this interview. I am really looking forward to connecting with you in person on the day, and I'm so grateful that you're going to be a part of the festival.
Okay. Thank you, Christina.
You are so welcome. And listeners, thank you for tuning in. Over the next few weeks, we're going to have lots of different speakers and vendors who will be at the festival on this podcast. So tune in, whether you live nearby or not, because you are going to meet some of the most incredible people like you did today. Denise, thank you again so much for being here. And listeners, thank you for tuning in. I look forward to connecting with you again next time. Bye-bye for now.